Peace and blessings. You now rolling with Apexxpolaris. Welcome to Soul Future. Today I got a little many things going on for y'all. Got a little no frills stuff going for y'all. Got a little no frills presentation going on for y'all. Peace, Soul Future. How y'all been? It's been a couple of weeks since Apexxpolaris, and we'll get into that. Soul Future will now start to turn y'all over to another side of your intellect as we rise through the serpent technology into the serpent knowledge, and we rise above the solar energy, the solar system, and we go into Polaris. I am Apexxpolaris. Welcome to Soul Future.
What's up, bros? I figured it'd be a good idea to get back into the swing of some casual celestial navigation, as I have a few more cheeky techniques coming soon. I have covered this navigational aid way back, so for those of you that are familiar with this technique, then just consider it a bit of cheeky revision. But I'll also be covering a few things that I didn't mention in the old video too, so let's crack on with Find North with the North Star, Polaris. How to recognise the constellations, how to locate them in the sky, and how to use them to find your directions. Let's just observe the night sky for a moment. I imagine some of you, right off the dizzle, have already found the required constellations, and as a result, the North Star. Good job. Give yourself a pat on the back for that one. For those of you that have not, then hopefully by the end of the video, you'll be able to pinpoint it within a matter of seconds. So let's begin. First up, we need to locate one specific arrangement of stars in the night sky. Let's activate the constellation lines and annotations. The constellation we will primarily concern ourselves with is this one right here, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, right next door. Now let's view our entire nighttime sky. Ursa Major goes by many other names: the Big Dipper, the Plough, Big Bear, the Cup, the Pot. If any of those ring a bell, then that's great. Ursa Major is a massive constellation. It is strikingly noticeable in the night sky if you invest a short amount of time to locate it. It's one of the most easily identifiable arrangement of stars. But let's whack up a more clear, real image of it. It looks like a saucepan with the handle on the pot, right? Easy constellation to locate and recognize, composed of some of the brightest stars in our night sky, and arguably the most useful constellation in the night sky when it comes down to celestial navigation. Why? Because this single constellation allows us to locate our North Star, which goes by the name of Polaris. How? Why? Who? What? Where? Give me the deets. Well, alright then. Okay, look at Ursa Major and its saucepan-y aesthetics. Focus on the two stars furthest away from the handle, the far end, the tip of the cup. We shall refer to them as the pointers. Now just create an imaginary line that extends outwards, starting from the bottom star through the top. Kundalini. Keep going with this imaginary line and you'll bump into something very significant in our sky. This star that you bump into will be significantly brighter than any other closely surrounding stars. It's one of the brightest stars in our night sky, Polaris, the North Star, which belongs to the constellation of Ursa Minor. It is this star that every other star revolves around relative to our perspective. It remains motionless and fixated in the sky. I'll talk about why that is a bit later, but once you have located Ursa Major, created this imaginary line that leads you to Polaris, you have found the North Star. Face directly.
Now, let me tell y'all something. Let me teach y'all something while we got this up. Polaris is the bright star. It's not the brightest, but it's the bright star. Everything happens around this star. There's 7 other stars that go around this star. This star is sturdy. Everything takes its direction from it. You see the line, the pole? That's the North Pole. That's what they're talking about. That constellation beam that you find that will lead you directly to that bright star, Polaris, which all other light comes, which everything reflects out of. But Polaris is sturdy. Once you reach Polaris, remember, that's the bright star. That's your kundalini that had risen. That means you have that information. You're from there. This is what you sought out to rise those 7 chakras in your kundalini. This is how they say the Egyptians, when I say they were walking around in their Polaris, almost in their first eye, which they say is the third eye. They was walking around in this brightness. This will not be a physical thing. You will manifest this on earth mentally. You have to reach there mentally. You have to be of another constellation. You can't be an earthbound person trying to, you can take that kundalini shit all out even when you want to take all that out. It's mental. You get here mentally. Knowing this kind of stuff, then knowing what kind of, this is what your ancestors followed. This is the cosmology your ancestors followed. This is not going to be in school. So we have to be appreciative for this internet and we can go on and find certain people who bring out the truth. In that straight line right there that y'all see in front of you is future. That's soul future. Welcome to soul future. I'm trying to get your soul to continue to rise. Your soul is your composition on the inside of you. It's your 7 chakras. Your solar system is inside of you. So we're not going to look to the created solar system. Anything after this Polaris reflected this light became secondary, became an image, became a holograph. This is the pure white light. This is the white light people say they see when they passing on. This is the secret they're trying to get you away from. It's nothing else but this that's at the North Pole. These constellations that we're talking about and those 7 stars that surround Polaris. And then you came down that when I talked to y'all about my ancestors, my hierarchy, and I went to see the goddess, and then she sent me back down this pole. She didn't come. She sent us back down there. That's where your DNA starts. That's where you intertwine. That's where the masculine and feminine energy turns counterclockwise to each other. This is what the CERN machine is trying to do. That's why they tell you the CERN machine, it's a big collider with 2 energies turning both counterclockwise or raising up an energy and a speed until they crash. And you had to come down all of this until you crash landed on the Earth's plane. But you went through that right there, that line right there. So from the Earth's plane, I'm trying to take you back to that beam, that pole right there. That's how we came in. 1 pole. No more zigzag zig. No more confusion. No more all of this, oh, we Republicans, the left, right. No, when you came down there, you came down that pole straight. It's not until you got on that pole where your DNA mixed and you became this, what you would call male or female. It's masculine energy, less masculine energy. And that's when your DNA formed. And that's the kundalini. It's no real, all those pictures y'all got of those lights and all that. That's all in your body. That's the 7 seats. Chakras are seats. Chakras are seats in your body. When you shock them, some people gods are Ra. So you got shock Ra, your chakras. When you shock your Ra, when you shock your God through meditation and rise it. But you can get rid of all that when you're dealing with soul future because I'm taking it to you mentally. Just know this. Just know the cosmology. I didn't go through sitting down with no kundalini. I did it straight mentally. I stayed in the cosmos. I stayed up there. I kept telling y'all about solar beams and all that. And I had it. That was the beam. But it was a light beam from Polaris. And now they copied this instead of mechanism called the sun that can only project rays. We come from that straight beam, that straight manifestation. We're beam-ins. Beamed in right on that pole. That was the gift. I know Santa. They stole that and made it Satan, Santa, Satan. No, that's the bright star of Polaris. It does the most. And you'll be taught that it's not actually the brightest of all the stars, but it's the brightest star. Let's get back at it.
Lead towards Polaris and you will be facing north. Turn 180 degrees, you'll be facing south. Easy, right? It is easy. 1 constellation, 1 line leads you to 1 bright star. Done. GG,
1
easy
constellation,
directions. But
1
hold
line,
the phone,
1
Jeff.
bright star.
Nothing is ever that easy. all of the time. Now, this is all well and good when we have visibility of this region of the sky, but you got to take into account the variable of Mother Nature being on her period. She might decide to throw clouds and shit all up in your business. Ursa Major may be visible, but following the imaginary line leads you to the constellation of goddamn clouds. Well, great, thanks. No worries though, we can get over this hurdle. Take the distance of the 2 stars furthest away from the handle, the pointers, and extend it by 6 times the distance in the direction of the alignment of those 2 stars. Don't do it downwards, that's wrong. Upwards, the same way we did last time, with the cup. This extension will lead you to the general vicinity of Polaris. Face and walk towards this point in the clouds and you will be heading north. 6 times the distance of the 2 stars furthest away from the handle.
That's
I'm
where
just
you go
repeating that
when
for
you
emphasis.
pass. That's where your soul goes.
Now let's talk about some other times where obstruction may be an issue. As the stars naturally revolve around Polaris, speaking relatively, it's natural for there to be periods where it's very low on our horizon and pretty high in our horizon. It depends which way you're facing, really. If you're facing south, then you're going to have to break your neck backwards to look at it, unless you turn around. But let's say, for example, you're in the middle of a forest and you've located a small clearing in the canopy. You're optimistic. You got a decent view of that portion of the sky. If you can find Ursa Major in this small clearing, then shit, son, the gods must be smiling down upon you. Go buy a lottery ticket when you get back. But for the rest of the unlucky bastards, that's a long shot, because the trees will probably be obscuring your view of it. Likewise, bases of hills or cliffs, possible obstruction. So, don't stand in front of a bunch of trees if you have the option not to, because it can get pretty low. I'm talking like to the window, to the wall. So we've covered the constellations we need to locate, how to use them to locate Polaris, and some considerations regarding low visibility or obstruction. One more thing though. Take note that the constellation will rotate. You will observe, or you may have to look out for, Ursa Major being upside down or tipped upon its side. It's a very important thing to remember and look out for. Won't always be your typical upright saucepan. But Ursa Major, in and of itself, can be used as a guide. As it rotates within close proximity to the North Celestial Pole, the center of this grid, with Polaris a few degrees off of it. Anytime you're facing directly towards Ursa Major, you will either be facing northeast, north, or northwest. So they're okay general directions, but being specific and utilizing the constellation to its full potential is the best practice. But let's step back a bit. Why does everything seemingly revolve around Polaris? What's so special about Polaris? Why is it the North Star? Why is this star in particular the star we use to find north? What is a North Celestial Pole? Well, if we turn on the equatorial grid, this web of lines with its center within degrees of Polaris, that is our North Celestial Pole. An explanation. Right, imagine this little person represents our planet and it's sitting on a revolving vinyl player needle, which would hurt a bit. Let's assume he's impervious to pain. And this little person is looking directly upwards. Compare this to an imaginary line extending outwards of the Earth's north geographic pole. Around this is a bubble full of dots, which represent stars. But hang about! This final player is rested on a gradient of 23 degrees. The little person's head is facing directly towards this dot now. So as the little person keeps spinning around and rotating on that needle, this dot in particular remains motionless. Everything else seemingly revolves around this dot from his point of reference. That to him is his North Celestial Pole, in line with the planet's North Geographic Pole. As the Celestial Pole is directly above and in line with our planet's North Pole, whenever we turn and face the North Celestial Pole, or a star that's in very close proximity to it, and walk towards it, it will take us upwards towards our North Geographic Pole, which if we compare it to the Earth and space, just take a moment to get used to this perspective, and wait for the sun to set. How nice is that? Whack up some annotations. If you visualize...
That's when they tell you that everything moves. God has to stay sturdy, can't be removed from his throne. That's just this story talking about Polaris. They took the cosmology, things they've seen, things they studied in telescopes. It made it folklore and stories and biblical myths and all of that. The Polaris, the bright star, became God, some fucking God. We're talking about energies here. That's the brightest, that's the biggest energy. That's the most potent energy. and around it was 7 stars. So you get 7 days of the week and all of that kind of shit. So in that how that evolves. It's just crazy, man. Y'all gotta really know. You see the straight beam? That's Polaris. That's the center of the earth. That's how you came in this motherfucker.
An imaginary line extending outwards of our North Pole, it will point directly to Polaris, the North Star, or at least a point in space that shares very close proximity to the North Star. So when we face north and look up, that's the star we see. That's the star from which everything else revolves relatively. Polaris remains motionless, directly in line with our North geographic pole, regardless of how much our planet revolves or travels around the sun. Walk towards it, you will head to the North geographic pole. North celestial pole, Polaris, you dig it? Good. So there you go. Finding Polaris, simple. Locate Ursa Major, which is one of the largest, most visible and most recognizable constellations in the sky. Follow the imaginary line from the tip of the cup. It will lead you to Polaris. Or if visibility is obscured, then multiply the distance of the 2 stars on the far end of the cup by 6. And you'll be looking in the general vicinity of Polaris. Face directly towards it, you'll be facing north. So that's that. I'll leave you with this 2-minute simulation if you'd like to observe how everything moves across the sky.
That's it right there. What y'all seeing is it. That's Polaris in the middle. And now when the light gets blue, Polaris light is white, but when it reflects out in like Blu-ray. That's why the holograms are going to be blue. It can no longer be the natural energy. It's a reflection. And this turned out into the Bible. God said, let us make man in our image. Energy came out in the image of Polaris in that first light. And this is why hologram and stuff is done in blue light. This is why they introduced Blu-ray. That's why you seen the avatars was in blue. That's why a lot of the gods is in blue. If you look in ancient times, you got all of. And I spoke to you about blue serpent technology. You see, it kind of looks like a web. Everything caught up in that web or that net. This is where everything came from cosmology, man. Everything came from cosmology, man. I'm gonna leave y'all with the star Polaris. There goes Polaris. There goes Polaris. That's what you're reaching for when you meditate and you're trying to close your eyes and you don't know where your soul is going. What I was telling y'all, you have to have constellations, meaning when you're doing this mentally and you're learning this, then you mentally go out there on those constellations. Mentally at least know what direction you're traveling to, because you're admitting your soul is traveling. You're going to release your soul out of your body. You don't even have an idea what star you're going to. Follow me. I'm Apexxpolaris. I'll be there. I'm known out there. I stay out there. Welcome to my galaxy, my constellation. That is the bright star Polaris. That's the secret. That's it. All right? We out of the Ankh age. We out of the Egyptian age. We out of all that. I told y'all we got to move on. We went through those schools. A lot of y'all got caught up, and we grateful for that knowledge. But now this is it, y'all. And this is part 2 of I've been telling y'all this. This is part 2 of I've been telling y'all this. This is what I've been telling y'all. I just did this to, do some comparisons and things of that nature. Y'all understand? But that is your bright star Polaris, man. Until I spoke to y'all and told y'all that word, y'all didn't know it. I introduced this to y'all. Now I'm giving it to y'all. Now y'all can Google this. I don't YouTube nothing. You can Google search not YouTube. You can Google search, the search engine, and then from there, it's other things you can do to further. But this type of information allows you to buy a telescope. I'm leading you to people who saying, look, you can find this constellation yourself, and you write about it and talk about it because you did it in the coordinates of your telescope. He gave you the coordinates. It's easy to find. I look at Polaris all the time through my telescope. It's already set for the Ursa Minor and the other constellation, and Ursa Major, the major and the minor, the constellations. And then, like he said, at the bottom, when you lock on at that 180-degree north, and you lock on at those two bottom points, you find the top bottom point, and you draw your imaginary line, because that, and you follow that, and it'll lead you right to the star, the bright star, Polaris. And around Polaris, there's 7 bright stars. That's the 7 stars of your kundalini. That's what you got to recline. That's what you got to recline, all right? Been teaching y'all this on mad other channels, man. I've been teaching y'all this just in another way. I was teaching you about your gifts coming down that pole, and I was using them as planets. I was just saying there will be planets. As you come down, you will meet a god on each realm, and that's when you left Polaris as a projection, as a beam down that pole. That's why they say the North Pole, from the North Pole, what comes? Gifts. And they took that and put a devil in it, like they do everything else, man. Peep this from my old show.
Yo, what do you mean when they say you came from grace and you fell from grace? What that mean?
Well, like I was telling people, that's not our story. You know what I'm saying? Peace and blessings to all listeners. This is my born days, APEXX Solar One. So I'm gonna brief this lesson because I got to get out of here.
This is when I was APEXX Solar One, about 5 years ago on my birthday.
To remind y'all of our
another channel.
Evolution, our solar evolution.
See those planets? I'm
when
using them as that straight pole.
Fall from grace, y'all hear this story in the Bible about God got his angel Michael, and they fought against the dragon, and 200 of his angels fell. I keep telling y'all that's their story. That's a story of the Anunnaki in negation. And as they translated things, they wanted us to believe that we fell from grace. We did not fall from grace. You're going to hear a lot of people say, oh, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. You been got blessed. You got blessed when you were curious and you wanted to come out of the bosom of all, and you wanted to explore down in planets. So what happened was each one of these planets has a solar guard.
Now remember then, I'm saying the bosom of all. I wasn't introduced to Polaris yet. I didn't mentally get to Polaris yet. I was telling y'all about how I go up and see my archangels and I talk to them. And it's always a her. That's what I was speaking of. I didn't get this constellation yet because I was doing it through soul energy, solar tap energy. And I was there, but we just have to switch the rays to the white light now. And we have to come out of the solar thing, which was good for us, but the sun is a mechanism. And it was created to duplicate that sturdy piece. What do they say? Polaris don't move. Everything revolves around it. They used the sun, but the sun couldn't shoot off that natural image light. So they said, let us do it like as we ejected down that North Pole as energy, as ultimate energy. And then our DNA, everything was mixed. And going down that pole, you got mixed. So masculine energy and less masculine energy mixed. And then the sperm and all that traveled with you in it. By the time you hit that first plane, things were. I'm going to teach y'all some other stuff that's going to, make y'all crazy. But we wasn't born first. When we came down here, it was when we came down that pole, so y'all can get it, it was like a DNA. It was like our kit. It was like our DNA kit formed into nature. And as apples and oranges and those tree families grow off of trees, we grew off of trees. They were calling us hyperboreans. We just grew off of plants. That sounds crazy to y'all. But here was 5 or 6 years ago when I was talking about that to the college students. I was giving it to them in a way that they can get. I could have did the energy thing here, but I used planets and told you had gifts coming down each planet. And they changed all that and told you about some damn Santa Claus or something like that. Check it out. 5 years ago.
On it. These planets belong to a solar god. So when you came, I'm gonna take it out of distance. When you came out of
Each
this,
of those planets
nothingness,
represent the kundalini,
you
right?
just look at the screen. You came out of nothingness,
And you got
and
gifts
you personified
to deal with those seven
into
sins,
one realm,
to
into
beat
one
them.
dimension. That's a planet, Mercury. I'm gonna share with y'all where y'all get your gifts from and when you get blessed. To get all the way down through these planets, all the way down to the earthly realm, to the 3D. You had to travel and continue to personify. Each planet you got on, you received gifts from a solar god. Mercury, you would get a gift. I'm just giving examples right now. Say if you got to Mercury and you got a certain gift, then you would have to keep traveling. You'll personify. Next Saturn, you get I think Mercury, you get courage. Saturn, you get the gifts of the rings of life. Each planet that you personify, each realm that you personify down to.
And you got these gifts to deal with the 7 deadly sins. Remember? The greed, the sloth, the ones that I still can't get. You got those gifts there to deal with that. This is a less way to teach it. And when I be telling y'all I can teach it in a different way, I'm just stepping y'all up to the new way I'm teaching it through the kundalini. But here was for the college students so they can have something physical to think about.
It's your solar evolution. Not because of sin, not because you fell from grace or none of that. That is not your story. They know your story came from this nothingness and you personified onto another planet and then to another planet and then to another planet and then to another planet and to another planet. And when you hear people say I'm blessed because each planet you went to before you got down into this earthly realm, until you got into the earthly realm, each planet that you went to, you received gifts to know how to sustain yourself when you get to that 3D earthly realm. Those gifts were courage, they were skills, they were a gift of love. You had many gifts given to you by each god, solar god on each planet until you got to the earthly realm. You were given these gifts because you were going to go and explore. You had a doctrine that made you curious. You wanted to go out and now explore. So when you go into the unknown, you need courage and you need all other kind of things. On your ascension, that's your descent. That's when you descended down, not fell from grace. You didn't sin. You didn't know sin. You descended out of curiosity, out of nothingness, out of all of this energy. You
Polaris.
just personified down into another planet and got instructions on each planet. That was your fall, but not from grace. It was a fall to explore. You was going to go out now as an explorer, and you needed to be equipped, so you had to go through 7 realms. They show you this in the kundalini.
Remember when I told you the goddess said, you go down there and explore that evil.
Or that spiritual picture
because Polaris can't move, and I didn't even know that stuff yet.
Each time you descended down, you got to a solar
god who
rules each of these planets. And all these planets, remember, were broken off and they were all one. But as they became broken, we split them up and divided the universe to the solar gods, and each of them had a planet. So once again, when you read the Bible and they talk about you fell from grace to fallen angels, that is not your story. Yes, there were beings that fell from planetary wars into the planet that we put in Antarctica, but that's not you. When you personified, that is not your story. You came out of the darkness, out of the light, into more light, and you wanted to personify. And each planet you went on, you took on different forms.
Right out of the light of Polaris, that bright star.
So that's why you are blessed. You are blessed with gifts. You're not receiving any more gifts. You don't get, when people say I'm blessed, yeah, you've been blessed before you got here. But you're not receiving any more gifts. Now, upon your ascension, back up, you have to give up all these gifts and climb back the way you have to ascend the way you descended.
I wasn't calling it kundalini then.
Into the realm of nothingness, where you don't need courage, you don't need love, you don't need hate.
That's back to what we just showed you. I showed you Polaris.
You don't need anything. You have to give all of those gifts back up and show that
bright star I just showed you.
So that was your solar story. Your evolution was solar. From density to different levels, all the way down to the earthly realm. And on each one of these planets, a solar god met you and blessed you. You were blessed then. So don't go for the story of the fallen angels. They did that from sin. You did not fall from sin. You descended to explore and continue to move forward, and you were equipped with gifts as you did it from the solar gods. All right? Welcome to Soul Future.
This is how we teach it today.
I'm going to talk to y'all today about
This
my
was
avatar.
2 weeks
I
ago.
always taught y'all everyone has an avatar and how you rise to see that avatar. And why my new information will take y'all a little bit away from the solar system and to ancient cosmology, and I'm going to tighten the gap between you and the Most High.
This is why we're futurines. We continue to move in the future and upgrade our information.
First of all, we're going to start talking about being tricked about space.
Now check the two different teachings.
Rising, there's no space between you and God.
From the planets to kundalini, serpent
no one's
rising.
ever been to the moon. The earth
From
is flat.
nothingness to Polaris.
When you are in manifestation through white sun energy, you are living in an assimilation. True way to your true self. Again, I went back, talked to my avatars, I climbed my kundalini, I shape-shifted. And when you're dealing with chakras, right? You're dealing with your 7 seats of your body, those chakras, you're dealing with different shapes.
Remember the planets.
Planes that you existed on.
Some of y'all might like it the other way.
As you
it's a nice
down here as a fallen being. And through your meditation, you get to the right vibration and hit on the right frequencies, you rise, your kundalini or your kundalini rises back up into that ultimate white light sun. And this is why a candle, ancient regular candle, looks, a wax candle, you see the intertwining of life. A candle, picture a candle. That's your serpent, that's your kundalini, that's your serpent wrapped around a tree. And when you place a candle on solid ground, on the plane, you go to the top of that candle and you light it. Your arm raising up to light that candle is you moving or rising up and shape-shifting upwards to your kundalini, inner you. Those chakras, those 7 seats that represent 7 stars, how you get 7 days of the week. And that's all to it. As you rise, you want to light the top of your candle to represent that white sun. So we lit. That's that vibration. We lit. And we want to try to light that candle. How do you do it? You meditate. Hindus, the Buddhists, they teach it for the longest. I guess you could say they teach it the best, if there's a best. And you meditate, you fold your legs into that pyramid shape, put your hands on where your thighs are at or whatever. You breathe and you either close your eyes or don't. And you go into a meditation with good, I think 432 hertz music playing. One of the frequencies of the one verse. It's just something calm and relaxing. And, you meditate and you go through each of these seats in your body to rise to the top. And when you rise to the top, it's like a burst of everything you learn bursts through your forehead where your pineal gland would be. And that would be why the Egyptians set that.
That's when you go from that constellation, draw the straight line, and you hit Polaris. That's what it all means.
Snake charmer trying to charm a cobra or a snake. First thing to do, the snake erects before it shoots out that venom. A man has to erect before he shoots out his sperm into that egg so that it can crash with this woman and you can become. But before that sperm met that, you were one polarity, you were one being. That's the significance, or that's the science of the cyclops, or the third eye, or the pineal gland. It's the serpent busting out with that venom, vicious, and then biting you and paralyzing you. And that's what we do as we gain our intellect and we get into that white light and we replace our 2 eyes with a singular pineal gland.
That's the bright star of Polaris.
People. We become like a venom
Get
to
all
our
that third eye out of
opposers,
your head like it's an eyeball.
to our oppressors.
It's to that ultimate energy, boy.
We know now.
The power ball, like they would say.
Some of the kundalini shapes, or if the Hindus, if you got a Hindu kundalini chart, you'll see a circle, a square, a rectangle, it is. Each one of those you have to rise through. You have to shape shift. You have to go through each one of those shapes or planes of existence that you resided on. So when you came down, when you descended, you think of throwing up a glass and it breaking. And the heavier piece would be the heavier part of your physical. The heavier vibration will be your heart. You understand? And that will land. You land it on a plane, the physical you. And 7 pieces of that glass shatter around you.
7 stars that surround
So
Polaris.
the 5%ers, we used to circle the 7. Right? And said
We
the
didn't
lucky
know what we
number
was
7.
doing, but I
That's
cracked
the
the
science
code.
of, you
Soul
see the
Future has
5%ers, you go
cracked
by
the code.
a 7 school, you see the 7 and the circle around it. That's because the circle represented the closing off of your landing. You landed. And 7 different pieces you landed in different planes before that physical landed here. And you have to climb back, climb your kundalini. You have to rise. You have to shape shift. You have to go to each one of those shapes you see on your chart. Circle, rectangle. I don't know what chart you got. But that's what you call the shapeshifters. We are the shapeshifters.
A lot of them got just circles,
No damn
but different
reptilians,
size
nothing like
circles.
that.
Circles
We
are
are the
still shapes.
shapeshifters.
So you have to shift through
And
each
you
of the
rise
circles.
to the top and you meet your mother, the goddess, the divine feminine. That's the secret. That's what they're hiding from. That's what Masons are hiding from. That's what religion is hiding from. I go there, you hear me say I meet my archetype, I rise through my kundalini, exalt myself, and I start asking questions. I want to know things. I don't want to know what y'all want to know. I'm thinking different stuff, man. I'm like, I want to get there and ask, this is God now. It's the ultimate intellect. This is God.
All right.
And I just did all this meditation.
So yeah, man, we're gonna wrap it up, man. We can ready to go on another 45 minutes, so we'll have 2 45-minute parts, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 cut off. This will be part 2. I've been telling y'all this. That's the name of it. I've been telling y'all this. So I dropped this just to, have a few comparisons. I apologize about the show y'all seeing now. If y'all look, it didn't even hit 100 views. We understand what's going on. My information is really hitting home. Y'all who've been following me know good and well after 2 or 3 weeks, that show is well over 300 to 400 views. It has not even made 100 views yet. That's the one y'all looking at now. Please go back to it, look it, press the likes. And I checked it, and I'm not even going to do too much about it. I guess the search engine will start giving it its due views. I told y'all I go through this a lot, but we ain't crying, man. The information is out. I don't care if it was on 40 views, man. You know what I mean? The information is out, man. And it just ain't moving like the other shows are be moving. And I understand why. So I apologize to y'all for that. But if y'all can go back on, share it, because that was a good show and some good information. You know what I'm saying? This right here is just your soul future, helping y'all see how we're going to move from the soul energy, the solar energy, and why we're doing this, moving from the solar energy to the white light energy. You understand what I'm saying? So there's more to come, and just stay tuned. Peace and blessings, man, to the gatekeeper, y'all. Rex Solo is now getting ready to be reinitiated with his new Polaris name. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have these Polaris names, and the gatekeeper in South Carolina, my brother, man, Rex Solar, man, has been holding us down in our chapter in South Carolina. Peace to you, big bro. Constantly, calling me, constantly getting your lessons, constantly recruiting people, trying people. And that's why he called the gatekeeper, man. You know what I mean? So he's definitely, we definitely going to get with Rex Solar and initiate him and exalt him to a name more worthy of the gatekeeper, man. So when y'all get a chance, man, y'all shout out to me and ask me about the gatekeeper. That's Rex Solar, my big bro, one of my first teachers, man. You know what I mean? So y'all gonna be hearing a lot from him. You can't get through Soul Future without going through the gatekeeper, man. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned, and we'll present y'all with Rex Solar's proper new Polaris name. Y'all understand that? So, yo, thank you for your time. I appreciate y'all, man. We're going on 40 minutes. Hope y'all learned something, man. I'll just leave y'all with what I can, man. I'm going to leave y'all with what I can.
Trust me. You think.
Now listen to this shit. These are the gods of the nation, y'all.
Let me tell you, you can't. There's no focus energy.
This is why I don't debate and go nowhere and play. Don't that look like a game?
You are fully fucking surrounded. That's number one. Number two, not only you fully surrounded, your whole foundation will be uprooted and plucked. That's number three. Understand this. The heavens shall drop upon you so hard.
That's a spooky. No more spooky hours.
I'm not speaking about the Most High. When I say the heavens,
all right, cool.
Listen, when I speak about the heavens, I talk about the knowledge that you have above your head. I talk about the degrees upon your head that you have an understanding of, but you have none. You understand? This is what I'm talking about. When that come down on you, it's a goddamn wrap. And so what we trying to do is, we gonna bring the information. And I thought that's what we was doing, bringing information.
Yeah, that's what
you know what I'm saying? And then you said to me straight up, yo, don't say, you know what you said to me. You on the phone, me, you and Sop. Can we give him the doo-doo-doo-doo?
I'm trying to figure out what's so deep. Because whatever he's talking about, he can say on the camera. No personal attacks.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Hold on, you think I'm going to come at you personally?
No. Listen,
Oh, okay.
Listen, let me tell you something. Listen, I'm not Shaka. I'm not you. I'm not no. Listen, you could talk about me personally. You could talk about my. Listen, hear what I'm saying.
Y'all hear this
Here's
shit,
what I'm
man?
saying. Here's what I'm saying.
They supposed to be teaching and y'all supposed to be learning stuff.
I don't give a goddamn. You looking at invincibility before you in the eyes of the Most High, man. You understand? You brothers ain't got nothing when it comes to this, man. Believe that. Everything that you have ever thought of has already been brought out and done, man. You understand? This is when I heard my young king say this. Yo, you know what? See, look
crazy,
here.
man.
Yeah, people with gray hair. First of all, we can pull up the things with the cameras. We done filmed everything. Understand this? And we can pull up.
Slavery. Where did you go to know about slavery? You keep going to people's books. This dude wrote a book. This dude wrote a book. He's the author of this. This dude name is Apexxpolaris. Have you heard him? You know, people call me all day. Friends, girls I deal with, women I deal with, meaning women I deal with, period, meaning female gender. Not females, though.
Women, not females,
this
women.
Guy on YouTube, his name is Dr. Tariq something. This dude, his name is Rashad Lennon L. This dude name is, none of them could fuck with me. Come on, man. How dare you know about a solistic teacher that gets mental transformations, and I'm teaching you about the sun, and I don't want to hear nothing educated or authored, and you go into me with guys that go to lectures and pull out paperwork and books and do research. He read this African book, he knows this African knowledge, he knows this African knowledge, he went to Africa, he studied on the wall. Okay, what did he get from his own head? Because you're telling me these guys are masters of books, and their mentality leads back to their smartness, and they're smart enough to remember the books that they read, who have authors, and a lot of times European authors are behind things. Just like I tell you, a lot of our slave songs, things like
We don't
that,
got time for
were
that
written,
here at Soul
actually
Future, man. You hear?
by Europeans. It's a song that I like.
We don't got time
Strange
for that,
Fruit.
man. You heard?
Speaking of, I think people getting killed. I think Nina Simone's family.
You know
The
what I
white
mean?
European wrote.
That's why I don't deal with all of that yelling and be around the room. You might as well just bring your guns and bring your, you know what I mean? What are we doing? We on YouTube. These dudes get on TV with that shit, man.
So if you got educated, you smart enough to know all this African stuff, because you read this book.
So, yo, we about to wrap it up, man. We got 2 minutes left. And because we got 2 minutes left, I got a chance to show y'all my son, Malachi the Terror, his last fight. He just stepped to Puerto Rico last month in November. Since there's only 2 minutes left, we can get the whole fight in, since he knocked the dude out in like 30 seconds, 40 seconds with a body shot. My son is just a beast, y'all. Check this out. I'm sorry for how it looked. I got it sent to me right away. And that's my son in the red top with the gold shirt. It's the best I can do. I'm sorry, y'all. You're going to hear his mother soon as he dropped the kid, his mother gonna be like, that's right, that's right. She's gonna be like, oh, it's over? It's my son right there with his back to y'all in the yellow. Y'all can start counting. Look at him get busy, y'all. Right there, black shorts, yellow top, red hat, red headgear. Watch these rights to the body, y'all. Right hook, one more to the body. Boom, he working on, you can't really see it, but watch how the dude come out of there. Y'all see him in the blue? He's over with. Here's mother. Look, he's down again. Stop the fight. Look at my son. You see how we do? We go over to the losing corner, give him a little hug, but it was over. Give y'all that back. Y'all might didn't see that, man. You got to look good when he had him in that corner with these rights to the body. Ooh, my God. I already told y'all like 6 months ago we wasn't going to rush Puerto Rico. We'll get there. My son went there. Quick damage in this tournament. Look at this work right here, y'all. Look at this work. Ooh, he's just punishing this kid. His mother said, oh, it's over? His mother went with him. I'm so happy. And there it is, y'all. Hello. But yo, man, we just gonna end on that note, man, and yeah, we just gonna end on that note, man, and we're gonna fade out. I'm gonna let y'all fade out with Polaris. Peace and blessings. This has been Apexxpolaris. We're gonna vibe out on these hertz. That's the hertz of the cosmos, true universal hertz, y'all. Hope y'all enjoy. This is part 2. I've been telling y'all this. That's home sweet home, y'all. This is a real recording from a telescope into the cosmos on the North Pole.